because at the end of the day, love doesn't hurt. It's simple. You either want to do it or you don't.
Hello, welcome back to today's Crystal Light. And today's guest is Chenitta. And I have known Chenitta for a very long time. And to me, she's someone who I see is very inspiring because here on today's Crystal Light, we like to shine wisdom through conversation and kind of talk about some of our beliefs and our thoughts and things that we've been through to help and guide others. So, how are you doing today, Chenitta?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. And so my first question for you is, so you are known for loving love. Like you are just Miss Love, like Miss Valentine's, like Miss Hearts, like you find hearts everywhere. And that's like so for you, I would describe you as that type of person that loves love. But I don't quite know if I'm that type of person. I don't think that I am. But when you hear somebody say love, love, what does that mean to you?
Love's love is like everything about it. It's not just something that can really just be explained. It's a feeling that you have to experience, and you won't really know it until it happens. And then sometimes it can kind of like sneak up on you. And you be like, what am I feeling though? Why do I feel this way? That's love. So it's just an amazing experience, and it has no boundaries, no limits to it, because at any point it could be you loving your child, it could be you loving your parent, your friend. So it's not just limited to a relationship type love, but of course I love that too. But I
Okay,
mean, you see it everywhere, and it's just, oh, go ahead.
so you said that like you won't know it until you experience. Do you think that there are people
Mm-hmm.
that have never experienced love, the real
Yep,
love?
because they don't. Yeah, and honestly, I feel like that's the reason why some people might don't understand it, because they haven't experienced it.
So how did you know you experienced real love?
Hmm. Um.
Or you could think about like past relationships, like, times when you thought you were in love, but then you came across something and you said, okay, this is different. I know I'm in love.
Yeah, like I would say all of my past relationships, I would say I love you. Not all, the majority of them. I got to the point where we said I love you, but it wasn't into the more recent one where it was just from the hug. Like I could just feel this connection, this feeling that I had never felt before. And I never forget, I was at the doctor and she, always asks about your love life and stuff like that. And when she asked me to describe him, I remember telling her he was everything that I wanted and everything I didn't know that I needed. So I feel like that's what love is. Like it's bringing out the better in you that you don't know. Like, letting you know you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. So for me, when I think about love and, my experience with love, I think about it for me it's more of I experienced an unconditional love with a person. So I was like, why do I love this person? And I couldn't come up with one reason why I love them. It was just like, I just love them because that's who they are. Like, it wasn't because this person made me laugh. It wasn't because, the time we spent together. It wasn't because of, what he did for a living. I couldn't think of anything. I was like, because maybe in my mind he got on my nerve or something. I was like, but I just love him for no reason outside of that. I just love him.
So when you thought about loving him, like was it just how you felt when you was around him, or when you wasn't around him, were you looking like in his old messages or pictures just thinking about him, or you just
No, no.
it was so was
Because to
you just saying,
me,
hey?
no, to me, that's not necessarily that's not my version of unconditional love. Like I don't have to constantly think about you, but when I do think about you, it hits me in the heart. Like, I'm gonna be smiling, or I'm gonna think about some good moments, or I may
Yeah.
even think about moments that are not good. But it's not gonna be all the time. Like it's not. I'm going to want to be around you all the time and spend time with you, but as I've grown, I know that that fades out, regardless of how much you love a person. If you give anybody that is like really truly they love someone, if you be around them enough, about 2 years in, you are not
Mm-hmm.
gonna want to be around them as much as you did when y'all initially started dating.
I don't know. Like for me, I feel like in the past, for example, one of my relationships, that was his thing. He felt like because we was around each other every day, like when we would go out, he would want to double date and stuff like that. But for me, I'm like, I haven't even spent any time. Even though I saw him every day, in my mind, I still want to be around you. Like I still want to hang out with you because I loved you and I just loved every aspect of you. So it's kind of like I didn't get tired. And I know other people like they don't get tired. Like, you know, when you go to work or you do things, that's one thing. But at the end of the day, you want to come home to that person. You can't wait to talk to that person. Like, that's what I'm talking about.
I don't know. For me, it's just kind of like I don't. To me, I feel like I can still exist if this person um is not around me. And to me, it feels like
Yeah.
sometimes that's what that means. Like, oh, I can't go home and have a good time if you're not there. Like, I still can't. I want you there. I want to be with you. But if you're not, I'm going to be okay, though.
So do you think that the way we love is how we learned what love was? Like how we were shown it?
Hmm. I don't know. That's a good point. I've never thought about it from that aspect. I think the way that we show love, no, I was gonna say I think the way we show love may be a learn, but I don't think that's learned either. I think the way we show love is based on how we would like love to be shown towards us. Um, I don't think so, because from the simple fact that from what I've seen, what I thought younger, that was me going off of what I saw when I was what I saw growing up. Like, you know, when I wanted to get married and you know, when I wanted to do all the house and wifely things, that was me going off of what I was shown as a child. But now that I've gotten older, I kind of feel like, okay, well, that to me, that's not realistic for me. And that's not how I see love. And that's not how I feel love. To me, love is just a feeling that's not attached to anything else. And I feel like a lot of times we attach love to expectations. And so it's kind of like if this person don't think about me while they're at the movies or on their boys trip, they don't love me. And to me, that's not love. That's more of my expectations of you and has nothing to do with love. To me, that's completely separate. Love is the completely separate energy that nothing else is in it except for love. And if this person, if you never see this person again, if they do you wrong, whatever, that energy of love still exists. It may turn to hate for a little while, but it's the energy that exists without all the other factors for me.
And see, now I agree to a certain point. Like for me, I feel like growing up, I was shown how to love, and I think that's where I began to learn it from. But then as I got older and experienced it for myself, I realized it was deeper than that. But for me, I think it's not necessarily expectations. I think the problem coming in, have you ever read the five love languages?
Not the book, but I know what they are. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's after reading that, that's when I realized, okay, well, a lot of people feel like someone don't love them only because they're not loving them in which the way they receive love. So if you thinking, oh, you can just buy me things and oh, I mean, don't that show you that you love me? Not if you're not helping me when I need stuff or, you know, spending time with me, then that's what matters to me most. And some people can't get past that because they feel like, well, I'm doing everything a person would do if they love you. You doing it for if someone did this for you, that you will feel like they love them. So I think it depends. Like I do feel like it's not tangible, but you do have to love the person in which they receive love.
But to me, that's not love though. Love is
What
not based. Love is just based on me loving you because you exist. It's not based on you fixing my car. It's not based on you taking my car to get gas. Those are things that I like about you as a person. I appreciate, you know, I'm gonna like enjoy it to the fullest. But to me, that's not love though. That's
but
expectations.
right. But the thing about it is, when you think of a person, when you're thinking about why you love them, or you're thinking about the good things that make you feel the way you feel about that person, you're thinking about things that you have experienced with that person. Like, oh, man, I really like this date, or I like how he touched me, or I like how he smelled. Like, you begin to think of things. So that's kind of the same.
I think for me, it's more like, so let's say, because what you said is touch. So it's kind of like, if I'm thinking about somebody, it's like, oh, I really appreciate the way he touched. He had this grown man touch. For me, that's not love, though. That's
So
me.
Met this person, he never spent any time with you. He never did anything. Y'all never took trips, nothing. You will still love him just because he exists, without having like the conversations or anything that you need, or how you feel love. If he don't do all of those, just because he exists and he's in your presence, you love him. That's almost
no, to me, I would, if my heart says it. Our heart don't have a choice sometimes.
true.
Like, when you're like, it just sneak up on you, be like, oh, why am I crying? Where do these emotions come from?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what happened. To
That's
me, it's like you just love just because. Like, there was this guy, we had a connection, there was an attraction, but he didn't do a lot of the stuff that I needed, which is why we stopped talking. And I clearly said what I needed, and he could not give that to me. And so, even though I loved him, I had to stop talking to him. I cried. He hurt me. Or, I was hurt because of expectations that I wanted and needed. I stopped talking to him because it's still like, the human part of me, or the part that needs things or want things, still was kind of like, yeah, I love him, but love ain't we're not gonna move far without other stuff.
Okay. I can understand that. But for me, I would have to have something shown in order to get that feelings, because I don't automatically connect with people. Like, you can meet someone, but it has to be a conversation had or something, unless God just say, hey, this is your person, and I can just feel it. But again, me just looking at someone, I'm not gonna connect with them. So for me, I have to have something
Okay,
to get that.
So here's the situation. Here's the scenario. You meet this guy, he seems cool, and y'all start talking. You realize that there's something about him and you can't put your finger on it. You keep talking to him and you still realize there's something about him. He does not give you things that you need. Let's say you like compliments. He's not big on compliments. Let's say, I'm gonna say it because I don't think you mind. Let's say you like, holidays and stuff like that. That's not really his thing. But there's something about him. Would you stop talking to him? Would you not explore that something and see how far it goes? Or would you focus more on, he's not giving me the compliments and he's not respecting the holidays in a way that I would like more? Like, would you let that go because you are not getting these other things that you feel like you need to love a person?
Yes. Would I let it go immediately? No, I will, because that's actually a similar situation in what I'm in kind of now. And we have different beliefs, and it's something about him. Like, literally, we can be on FaceTime talking. He don't have to say a word. It's just him looking at me and he smile. And I know I don't love him, but I know it's something else that is trying to connect us. But he does not fulfill me in other ways. Like, I just feel like it gets to the point where either I'm gonna lose me to gain you more time in my life, or I gotta let you go to save me. Because if you on that route, I'm gonna lose my sense of where I am, where I'm going, and how far I've came, and it's not worth it.
I think that's a very good point. Like, part of it ties into what I feel, which is that you know it's something there. And to me, I just kind of feel like when our heart says something, like we notice that and we keep going until, you know, until other things for me tell us no, like we feel like we may be compromising ourselves. And so then for me, the compromising is kind of like, that's not love for me. That's like
Right.
the part of me that just wants to exist with things and expectations that I would need to make life happen. But I do think that's like a very good point though. So it's kind of like, how do you maneuver with like being with someone and making sure that you don't lose yourself? You know, you got to compromise when you're in a relationship. At least that's what we were told. You got to compromise. You know, you got to do things to make the other person happy. And I think that's part of my struggle with marriage and relationships, as far as I think love is the energy for one. And I also think that we should accept other people based on who they are. And when we try to change them to what we need, we're not really allowing them to be their true self. We're trying to make them into who we want them to be. And the same goes vice versa. Like the guy that you're with, you may try to make him be what you want him to be, and he may try to make you be what he needs you to be. So it's kind of like, where's the line? How do we do this? Like how would that work? You know?
I want to say, if I can't remember if it was a movie or if it was line, not the movie, but it was just like basically saying, when loving you is hurting me, I gotta let go. So when it gets to the point that it's hurting you in any aspect, that's not really love. That's not anything that you need to explore, because at the end of the day, love doesn't hurt. It's simple. You either want to do it or you don't. And if it gets to the point where, like you said, you know, some boundaries are being crossed or some type of fulfillment is not happening, then it's not love, it's infatuation. It's something else trying to connect you that shouldn't have been a connection. And it could be a distraction hindering you from doing something else.
So do you think that if you love someone, then that means you should automatically give in to that person? Like, how do you know where the line is? Because you may say, oh, I don't want to lose myself. And the other person may say, oh, well, you're being inconsiderate to me. So both of them are feeling like you don't see me and you're trying to change me. You know, you're trying to like give me less than what I deserve. And he said, oh, you're trying to change me. You know?
For that, I feel like if you love a person, you should be able to communicate without insulting or downgrading the other person. And at the end of the day, whatever your suggestions are, if it's not helping that person grow, if it's hindering them or trying to make them, you know, I guess not excel to make you look better or make you look inferior, that's not love. Like at the end of the day, a compromise to me for love would be, hey, you live in Georgia, I live in Texas. Do you want to move up here or do you want me to move down there? Who has the better job? You know, reasonable compromise, but it's not, you know, no, you don't say anything, you let me handle this, or your questions are stupid questions, you know, like don't ask me silly questions like that. Like that to me, it depends on what's being presented and how it's being presented. Because I can say, hey, you smoking, that's not beneficial for you. But, you know, I'm not telling you any reasons why. It's because I don't want to be around smoking and I don't like smoking. So I don't want you to do it. But it may be, okay, well, this relieves stress, or I have PTSD and it calms me, or whatever. Okay, well, you might need to see a counselor. So it just depends on how you present those compromises.
Okay. I can see that. And I also think that's where it's going to go into, you're going to be able to have that conversation. You're going to be able to talk to people, have to be able to talk to people. Because I feel like if you were a guy and I was me, like me and you wouldn't be able to date, because I'm so flowy and open and like, you know, just I want to be me and do whatever. And you're kind of like, no, this is how it should go. There
Gotta be
is such a thing as this is right and this is what's better for you. So I feel like, you know, understanding who you are first, and also
yes.
understanding what you need and what you will and want, what you can and what you can't do, or you know, what you can't do long term.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's that's the key to is knowing yourself, and then the person that you start talking to, then you'll know what you can and can't do.
And that to why I said I feel like just loving a person without having a conversation or knowing them, I don't think that's possible, because I feel like you have to have some type of communication to see if y'all do vibe. Like, you might not. Like, you might be infatuated with this person, but ooh, I think I'm in love. But then the minute they open his mouth, it's kind of like, you ain't what I thought. Like,
yeah, no, I do think you do need to have a conversation to get to know a person, to get to know their what's in them. For me, where you work at, what your hobbies are, like those are things that help build who you are. But knowing who your spirit is, what your spirit is gonna take me further than knowing some things that I feel like could change over time.
okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought that was an interesting question on love. So I have another question for you. This is one that I'm struggling with, and I feel like you do good with. So you make small goals to get to where you want to go, and you actually like cross it off your list. Excuse me. And then it's like, I don't know. To me, I struggle with it. Like if I make a goal, it feels too far down the line, I get annoyed because I was like, either one, I'm not gonna want to do it anymore after a certain time period, or two, once I get the gist of something, I don't need to complete it. I'm gonna mark it off as though I completed it, because I'm like, okay, I just keep doing the same thing for another 3 months, and then I will complete the goal. So why would I do it when I already know how to do it?
Right.
So how did you get started on it, or how do you do it? What is the process? Because I don't know.
Honestly, how I got started on it, I was young. Like, I don't even know how old I was, but I know it was the big old tablets that we had when we was kids. And I wrote on there. Like, I started when I was super, super young. I drew out like my floor plan to my 2-story house. So it started with that. And
Like
for
this?
me, no, it was the big ones. Like, like the kindergarten tablets. It was like
Oh,
super.
where you write your ABCs and stuff.
It was
Okay.
like, it was blank pages. Uh-oh. Hold on. Okay. Wait, you might have to get this off of me. But it was like 2 big old tablets. So for me, I automatically drew like literally my outside, my inside. It was very detailed. So ideally, I don't know, it just came to me. Like, I always feel like in order for me to see the progress, I have to write it out for one, see it, and then as I go, I feel like I progress, because what I was struggling with, sometimes I would lay down and have all these thoughts, and it just feel like everything is just floating, and I'm not gonna ever get anything done. But once I group it, write it down, separate it as to when I'm gonna have this done, or when I want this done, or what stores I'm going to, what all items I'm getting out of this specific store, it helps me to focus on what I need versus everything as a whole. I feel like it's less time wasted because it don't take you that long to write it down. So I don't know. I've always been like that.
Okay, so if you can help me with this, let's say I am moving to a different apartment.
Okay.
How would you do that? Take me through the process.
Okay, so moving to a different apartment, automatically I will look at my finances. I'm gonna write down like how much rent is gonna be, how do I have to pay light bills, do I have to pay cable bill, water bill, all of that. How much is a moving truck gonna cost? When is it a good time to get it? So I'm gonna first write down all of my expenses and see, okay, when is a good time for me to have this done? So once I have all of the expenses done for like the billing part, then I got to see what do I need to furnish it. So then there's going to be a separate list of everything I would need in the household, meaning groceries, couch, tiles, bathrooms, all of that. Where can I get it from? Where can I get it from the cheapest? And then I will get that total. After that, then it's like, okay, well, when is the next time that, I want to move in? I'm going to look at the area. well, for me, I'll be looking at schools for kids and stuff like that. So I want to look at the area. I want to see, okay, well, is it going to be close to stores? So that means I don't have to travel far. Or would I have to, get a transportation and go that far? So then I'll look at that. And then if I have to Uber and I can't walk, then you want to factor in those costs as well. After that, I'll look at the dates, time frame of when do I want to have this stuff done, how much do I need to have saved. So I'm gonna get the overall total and the breakdown total. So then I may separate it in envelopes or in, like they have all these little books now that you like can put money in. So once I have that saved up, I move on to the next part. Like I might furnish my bedroom. So I have a total for that. So I'll be saving, putting that money towards it. And then once I finish with everything, okay, by that time I done called around. I done know what my movie in date is. I done scheduled the movers. Sorry. Okay. I done scheduled the movers and that's it.
Okay, so you will have these bigger headings like bills, and then you will have another heading like what you would need, and then another category like the date, or another category like area. So those would be the bigger categories. And so then below that you would list all the things that you said. And do you work on them individually or do you work on different parts?
Either or. Sometimes just depending on what it is, sometimes I tackle the biggest part. So if for rent, for example, I'm not going to just put rent. I'm going to put rent, and then underneath rent, I'm going to put how much is going to be my deposit. Is this going to be a non-refundable deposit, or, do I get it back once I move? And then on top of that, then I'm okay, well, do I have to pay my first month rent? Because some places make you pay your first month rent and last month, or partial, or whatever. When is a good time to move in? Because is it going to be more beneficial for me to move in the middle of the month, or just wait till the first of the month when the rent is going to be due, and I can just get a whole month instead of getting a prorated month and paying more and I'm not even in there. So, and then for rent, like for me, I pay water bill and lights. So oil and cable and stuff like that. Sometimes it's included. So at that point, you breaking out every single thing. Is you don't want to just put rent, moving, and whatever, because then you're going to miss something. Because once you start actually doing something and you haven't broke down and looked at all aspects of it, you're going to be like, I wasn't planning on spending this much money, or I didn't expect all of this stuff. So it helps you to kind of go ahead for the unexpected. And then you always want to say more than what you have, because at that point, if something unexpected do occur, what if your mover is canceled? And now you got to pay somebody else. Okay, is it another option? Do they have a truck? How much are they going to charge me? When is a good time for them to move? I just look at all of that, and it just helps me to be prepared for anything. Now, it's not saying it's proof, like foolproof, but it works for me.
Yeah. I feel like I do the same thing, but nowhere near as organized as yours. Mine would be more like, well, where do I want to move? Let me look at these areas. Like, how much do I want to pay? Like, okay, well, let me check out these apartments. Well, no, they don't do that. And then it'll be like, okay, this is where I want to be at. And then I would just be like, but I wouldn't write anything down. I would just be like, what's the cheapest I can get it?
Okay, with that motive, once you actually do it, do you feel overwhelmed after the fact? Oh, okay.
Because I also don't try to do everything at one time either. So like you may be like, well, what all do I need to move in? And I'll be like, well, I'm just gonna take what I got and I'm gonna do everything else slowly. I think because I'm more, I ain't gonna say more, but I know I am kind of low. What is the word where I don't need a lot? Like I can get by with a little.
Low maintenance.
Kind of, but I think it's another word. I can't think of what it's called, but similar. So it's kind of like, I just kind of where you don't need a lot to, like, not self-sufficient, but something like low. Anyway, the word is that I can get by what I have. So let's say where I moved to where I am now. I'm not even worried about buying real plates or real dishes.
Yeah.
Like I just bought like stuff little and slowly. at a time. Like I just, for me, I do the big stuff, and once I get the big stuff out the way, then it's like, well, I can manage and handle the smaller things. So like, I feel like the light company or the light bill or internet or whatever, that's gonna be what it is. And
Mm-hmm.
and I really don't have to look into that until I get to wherever I'm going. And I just be like, well, can y'all come turn it on? What's the quickest you can turn it on? I just kind
Okay.
of I just kind of flow with it, and I think my method kind of works for me, but it also works for me because I've been doing it a long time. So I feel like people who are younger, they can't do my method because it's not going to work for them. But I feel like people who have done this type of thing over and over and over, like I don't want to say real adults, but you've been adulting for a while, like you kind of know what to expect.
Like, I feel like the younger generation now is more prone to do your method than mine. Like, I don't see them as, let me plan things. They just go with it. It's like you doing TikTok videos in the middle of nowhere, just to get the three or so. For me, I feel like they will be closer to that same mindset than me. Like, I'm not a risk taker. Like, no, like I'm gonna think about the risk before I even take the risk. Like, so
Yeah, but I think younger people, not all, some are more of they will do it my way because they lack the experience, it's not going
yeah.
to turn out right because there are a lot of factors that I may not think about up front. But as I'm like getting down to like, okay, it's getting close to move-in day, like all those other things will pop into play. Like, let me go back and get if I can't move on this day, what's the backup plan? Like I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
have backup plans for everything, but that's just not gonna be my top priority.
Okay.
And I just think, until you have experienced some things, you're not going to know it until you're in it. But I do feel like,
That could be good too, because for me, sometimes being a planner like me can come with like consequences, because sometimes I may feel stuck if things don't go according to my plan. It's like, oh my goodness, like feeling overwhelmed or feeling like a sense of panic, because I'm like, I plan for this and an option for this, but neither one of them happens. So then I would, whereas you can just be like, okay, that happened. Let's just do this. Like, but I'm still here like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? So
I think even though I don't write it down, I am a planner in a sense. Like I do it more mentally. Like I have a bigger overall picture, and I also have a backup plan that's like, well, if none of this works out, what is the backup plan at the minimum? So I
okay.
still have a minimum backup plan, but that's more like last option. Like we ain't trying to do that. We're gonna exhaust all the other things. So we're gonna do 1 and 2, and then we're gonna make up 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Because the last one is like 100. Like we ain't doing
So
100.
would you say you're more visual or
I'm more,
just
yeah, I'm more mental. Like I have to see it in my head, but I don't necessarily see it with pictures though. I see
yeah.
it with words, if that makes
It's,
sense.
I think I'm more visual. Like, you could tell me something and I'm like, okay, but once I actually put it on paper and I can physically see it, it makes more sense.
Yeah, but I don't know what kind of learner I would be. I don't think I'm auditory, and I don't think I'm visual, and I don't think I'm hands. I can be hands-on, but I don't think hands-on is my first one.
So if someone was trying to teach you how to do something, do you prefer them to just show you and do it, or do you prefer to just figure it out on your own, or do you prefer them to talk you through it while you're doing it?
You know what? I prefer to read it, then I prefer to do it, and then you can help me after I have tried it. Yeah, so read it, do it, and then you help me.
Okay. I don't know what kind of learner. Independent learner. I don't know if that's a word, but
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what it is. And I think that's probably yeah, I think I'm probably too much of that. Or maybe not. I feel actually I'm not too much of that. I think my lifestyle as a whole has forced me to be independent in a lot of things, and I know that's just what works best for me, because I feel like I don't have the luxury to wait around on someone else to show me something, and it takes longer than what I need to be. Like, just show me so I can just either fail or try again, but at least it'll be on me.
And see, for me, I'm like, I don't want to spend so much time of you just telling me how to do something, and I gotta look at you, and then you gotta go over it again because I'm gonna check out. So, but if you're showing me and letting me do it at the same time you explain it to me, I can pick it up like that.
Getting ready. So as we're getting ready to leave, I have one last question. So, I kind of like the idea of having like an unpopular opinion. It makes me feel like different. Like, I'm not in the crowd. I stand out from the crowd. So do you have any thoughts as like an unpopular opinion, meaning that society thinks that one way and you don't agree with it?
I think I'm kind of with you on that part. For example, the lady on the plane. I'm sure you heard about that, where she said she saw something and people were saying, oh, she was drunk or she was crazy. For me, I believe the unpopular opinion because I feel like it is some truth into what they're saying. So for me, it's just like, I'm not going to believe what you say, and I'm not, expecting you to believe what I'm saying. I'm going to look at all aspects of it to figure out what the truth is. So I'm like, maybe not everything they're saying is true, but some of it. So let me figure out what some of that is, and then I do research on my own.
Yep, I 100% agree. I feel that way with most things that are put in the media. I feel that a lot of it is based on truth, but then it's hyped up and like extra is added to it. So it's kind of like most people can't see the truth because they're looking at the hype part of it.
Mm-hmm. And then you only hear bits and pieces of what they're saying and just kind of run with it without even going back to the original content. But for me, I want to see what you're not saying. So that's what's important to me.
I 100% agree. I agree with that sentence you just said. What are you not saying? And I think a lot of people don't take that into consideration. Yes. I think that's a good word to end this conversation on, is like when someone talks to you, try to figure out what are they not saying? What are they intentionally trying not to say to you?
Yep.
So thank you for being our guest, and hopefully you will come back. Yes.
Of course. Fun.
And that's going to be it for today. And thank you for being here on today's Crystal Light.